Good morning or good afternoon, everyone. We're going to give it a few more minutes before we get started. Okay, let's get started. I can see there are several people here, so I want to get started and not waste your time. Let me start with a very simple question. And I want you to answer it the way you would answer it in your head. Don't say a single word. When was the last time someone on your team told you something that you did, but you do not want to actually hear? And I'm not talking about like a simple status update, not a problem they already had a solution for. I mean, like a real uncomfortable truth, something about you, about a decision that you made, about a direction that you set, and they think it's wrong. For most CEOs, the honest answer is, I cannot remember. And I hear that every single time I ask someone in a one on one for real about this topic. And here's the part that should bother you. It is not because there is nothing to tell you, it's because at some point, without anyone deciding to do it, your team quietly stopped telling you the truth. I call this the information gap. It is the distance between what is actually happening in your business and what makes it all the way up to you. And it's not a flaw in people, it is a natural, predictable side effect of being the person in charge. And here's the worst part: the bigger your title, the wider the gap. The better are at your job, the wider the gap. And that is the whole trap. So, for the next 40 minutes, I am going to show you three things. Let's see here. Got to move the slide first. Sorry. So, for the next 40 minutes, I'm going to show you three things here. One, why does this gap form? Why is it that your best people are the ones who feed it? And two, the specific ways it shows up right before a business gets blindsided. And number three, what is the CEOs who close the gap? What are they doing differently? My name is Andreas Pedersen. I work with CEOs and business owners on exactly this. So let's get into all of this. Let's see. Okay, so first of all, a quick note on who this is for, so you know whether it's worth for you to stay here or not. If you're running a company, you own a business, you're a founder, or you sit at the top of a team, you're an executive where people report into you. You don't have to lead leaders, but people reporting into you, then this is for you. If you are earlier in your career, you don't have any direct reports, and you still get told and you still sort of get told the truth freely, then save this one. Now, it's still good for you to listen, and you can absolutely learn something from this because feedback both goes up and down in an organization. But your problem is different. The people who needs to hear this is mostly the ones who feel the least worried about it. They will tell you, my team is different, my door is always open, my people know that they can come to me with anything. And I actually hear that constantly from most of my clients. And I have learned that that phrase, my door is always open, is often one of the clearest sign that this gap actually do exists. And because when the door is not like, or how do I explain this in a quick way? So, because an open door is not the same as an open flow of information. And one is sort of your intent, and the other is what actually happens when you're not in the room. So here is my ask for the next 40 minutes. Assume that the gap exists in your company, not because you're bad as a leader, it has nothing to do with that, but because you are a leader at all. Like, let's find out how wide this gap actually is. So let's talk about why this actually happened. And it's not because of the mechanics of it, but you can, and once you see it, you really cannot unsee it. And um, your team, like, or imagine like this: you're hiring. Imagine a new hire. It's day one. They see a problem. Something is broken, and process is dumb. Decision is wrong. Whatever it is, like they're new. Okay, what do? They speak up. They're fearless because they have nothing invested yet into the company, and they assume honestly that this is what you want to do. You want to hear it. Now, watch what happens over the next year. So, the first time someone raises their opinion and they say it straight to you, then maybe you're busy and you're sort of like, yeah, it's okay. And you're busy with other things. They're new on the job. They don't really know what they're talking about. And it's not being rude or anything. You just say, like, yeah, let's just park it, for example. And the second time, maybe you disagree in front of a group of other people, and that individual, they will feel that sting. And the third time, they will bring you the hard truth, and you change nothing. So the decision, it stays the same. So remember, every time you do this, they are learning. Every one of us has a pattern recognition machine built into our heads. And your team is sort of running an experiment on you, whether you know it or not. And they're constantly calibrating every single interaction. And the pattern they are learning is simple: speaking up cost me something, and changing changes, and or sorry, speaking up changes has a cost, but it actually doesn't change anything. So the result of that over time is that they're staying quiet because it doesn't cost them anything. So they adapt. And it's not because they're cowards, it's not because it's not their personality, because they're smart. And the smartest people on your team are often the fastest to learn this lesson, which is why your A players often get the most quiets the quickest. I know it sounds really weird, but let me explain why it is like this. So, what happens now that you stack these three things on top of that? So, first, your reactions carries 10 times the weight you think it do. When you are a CEO, a simple like frowning of your eyebrows, or you forget to like that's something like you will forget 2 seconds later. But for an employee, they will be spinning for days if you threw a face and like, what's going on here? And that means that you're not operating on the same volume that they are reading for you. And a simple like a sigh, a glance at your phone, or you're not showing interest, or you're like your body shows that I don't really want to be here. Anything like that, and people will calibrate what it is actually safe to be telling you. Now compound that for years. Okay, the second thing, everyone below you, they have an incentive to manage the story. I'm not saying they're lying. I'm saying that they will frame things in a way where they will soften it. They might be a little conflict averse. They might be an introvert, and so on. And they naturally will lead with the good news and bury the bad in a paragraph far, far down. And this is something, I mean, you did this before you got to the top as well. So it's a normal behavior. So to present the problem only once they have the solution, that's what ends up happening. So they never look like they are complaining. And then if you multiply that by every layer of your organization, and by the time the information reach you, it has got 5 versions of editing and layer upon sugarcoating after another. And even though the edits are small for every increment, the sum is enormous. Okay? So the third part of this stack, and this is the one that gets people, and it's you. Your competence literally will work against you. You are good at this. You have opinions, you're strong ones, usually the right ones, especially in your head. But a leader who is visibly certain teaches everyone around them that disagreement means frictions. Worst thing, strong opinions, strongly held. So why would I argue with the person who is usually right and clearly already have made up their mind? And remember, it's not just what you say, face expression, body language, setting, everything. So what happens? People stop arguing. In their mind, it's a fight, it's an argument. And you mistake their silence for agreement. Silent is disagreement. Takes a while to sink in, but that's really the case. Oop. I don't know why it's... Oh, sorry. Slide missed here. Okay. So if you put all these things together, you get a system that filters the truth out before it reaches you. No villain, no conspiracy, just a lot of reasonable people making reasonable choices. And the CEO is slowly going blind at the exact moment the stakes are the highest. And there is a name for what you feel when this is happening. And it feels like things are going fine, calm, aligned. Everyone is nodding. The calm is not always healthy. I would even say it's more unhealthy than healthy. And sometimes it's the sound of a room that has decided you are not worth the risk of the truth. So, how do you know if you have this? You cannot see the information you're not getting. That is the whole problem. But the gap leaves fingerprints. So let me give you a few signs that you should be looking for. Sign number 1, surprises that others clearly saw coming. So a key person quits, and when you dig in, 3 people say the version of, yeah, we kind of knew, or I could see it coming. A project that misses its deadline badly. And the team is not shocked. You're the only one sitting there like, why did we miss this deadline? So when bad news arrives, you are the last to know, and that is not by bad luck. That is a measurement. The gap between when your team knew and when you knew is the exact width of the information gap. So sign number 2, your meetings are too smooth. If people brings you problem that are already 90% solved, if nobody pushes back, if a decision gets made and everyone agrees and moves on, that is not alignment. Real team have friction, healthy disagreements, they're loud in the room. And again, disagreement is very different from conflict. But when a room goes smooth, it's agreeable, everyone is polite, they're nice, ask yourself whether you built a team that agrees with you, yes-sayers, or a team that have learned to perform agreement in front of you. Huge difference. Sign number 3, you hear the truth sideways. You found out what people really think from a skip level conversation, from someone who is leaving, during an exit interview, someone you met, a former employee, or from a client who repeats something an employee already have said, or from a comment online, or from an offsite when someone have had a drink or two too much. And when the truth only reaches you through the side door, it means that the front door is closed. Back to I have an open door policy. And you are the ones who closed it without meaning to. Sign number 4. I didn't want to bother you. The phrase "I didn't want to bother you." Listen for it. Like, I didn't want to bother you. I didn't feel it was my, like, I didn't feel you had enough time. When someone finally tells you something and it's important and it's too late, and you ask why they waited, and they say, "I didn't want to bother you with it," or "I figured you had better things to do," that is the gap I'm talking about. So they made a calculation about your bandwidth and your reaction, and they basically realized that silence is better. It won't cost them anything. So now let me tell you what all of this costs, because the signs are annoying, but the cost is where it gets really real for an organization, especially over time, and it compounds. The information gap does not usually kill you with one big miss. It kills you with slow, compounding, invisible drift. Every decision you make is only as good as the information under it. So if the information is filtered, softened, and late, then your judgment, which might be excellent, like I'm not complaining again on you, is being applied to a distorted picture. So you are a great pilot, say you're a great pilot flying an instrument and that are quietly lying to you. And here is the compounding part. Play that forward 12 months, and small things nobody told you become massive things you found out about way too late, which becomes the big thing that finally forces its way to the surface. And it usually attaches to a resignation, a lost client, a number you didn't meet, a board member asking you a question that you were completely blindsided to, and you cannot explain your way through it. And by the time things like this reaches you, it is no longer a conversation. It is a full-blown crisis. And you will sit there and think, why did nobody tell me? They did not tell you because you spent 2 years without knowing it, teaching them not to. That is the real price. It's not a bad quarter. It's the slow erosion of your ability to see your own company clearly, right up to the moment it cost you something you cannot get back. Remember, years of steering off course will not get you to the destination where you truly want to be. So I want to name a framework here because there is a specific pattern underneath all of this. I call it the elephant chain. And you've heard me use this probably before when I have given different speeches in the past. Do you know how you train a circus elephant? Think about it. The big adult elephants, they can run away anytime. So when they're a baby elephant, they're young and weak, they chain its leg to a stake, drive it into the ground basically, and chain them to it, and it pulls. It cannot break free, and it learns that pulling is pointless and painful. Years later, that same elephant, they're strong enough to rip the stake out of the ground without anyone noticing. But it doesn't even try because it has a learned behavior, a coping mechanism. And when it was small, that chain wins. When your team is chained the same, and your team is chained the same way, basically. Early on, they pulled, they spoke up, they pushed back, telling the hard things, and the chain held. Nothing changed, or it cost them. So now, even the ones who are strong enough to tell you the truth do not pull anymore. The chain come off years ago. They just don't know it because you never showed them. And fixing this is about cutting the chain in a way that they can actually feel it. And that is very doable. It's a specific set of moves, and it works faster than people expect. And I'm not going to walk you through the whole thing on this webinar. because doing it right depends on the specific team and your chains that got set. But I will tell you the shift and how it starts right now. Okay. So here's the shift. Most, oh, I messed up the slide order. My bad. Going back. Press too many. So here's the shift. Most CEOs, they try to fix this by saying to be more honest with me, or open door policy, or if it's really important, I will take time for you. And honestly, does nothing. Leaving it to them does nothing. And you cannot announce your way out of a trust problem that you spent years building up. Words from the top are cheap, and your team, they know that. So the gap does not close with a speech, it closes with evidence. And you have to give people repeatable, undeniable proof that telling you the truth is safe, and that it works, and that you take action on it. Proof, not permission. Let me give you the direction, and I'm going to be honest with you that I'm going to that I'm giving you the what, and I'm going to hold back the how, because the how is where it actually lives, and it's very different from every leader in the room. And if I give you the how for every specific situation out there, this webinar would be days, and I can't give you to it as a cookie cutter. So the first move is about reaction, not their courage. And you keep waiting for braver employees. Stop that. It's not going to happen. The variable you actually control is what happens in the 2 seconds after someone tells you something that you do not naturally, instinctively like. That 2 seconds window, that's the entire game. If you master it, the gap starts closing on its own. Most leaders have never even looked at it, and it is leaking trust every single day. Think about it. I say something to you, and if you throw a face, you're not interested, and so on, you're teaching the behavior. Slow down and listen. That alone, just that window, is usually the highest leverage change a CEO can make, and almost nobody works on it deliberately. The second move is that you have to make the invisible visible. Oh, let's see here. Yeah. The second move is that you have to make the invisible visible. And the truth is that the truth. So how do I say this? The truths you're missing, they're not just going to magically show up and introduce themselves. So what you have to do is you have to go get them, and there's a specific way to ask that gets past the filter instead of triggering it. And most CEOs, they ask questions that guarantee a polished answer. Everything going okay gets your yes, all good, all the time, right? There's a different way to ask that makes it harder to hide than to tell the truth. And when you learn it, people start handing you things they have been sitting on for months. The third move is the one that actually cuts the chain. When someone finally tells you the hard truth of what you do next, teaches the entire organization what honesty is worth. Get that right visibly in a few times, and the whole story spreads faster than any memo can, any message, any speech you're giving. Get it wrong publicly, and you rechain the whole room. And here's the point: like, when you'd make the decision, you're 100% in on making this change or 100% out. And there is a right way to handle that moment, and it is counterintuitive to how it might feel for you. And this is where well-managed leaders accidentally do the damage. Let's make sure here I click the right thing. Okay. Now, so I can hear whenever I say this to people, and when I do personal or one-on-one coaching with people, it's natural to go objection handling. I get it every single time. Andreas, if I am open all of this up, I won't I just get flooded with complaints and drama, and I have to be people's therapist and so on. And the answer is no, no, not if you do it the right way. And the difference between opening the floodgate and opening a real channel is the whole skill. If you've done it wrong, you get chaos. Like I'm with you on that. Done right, and you get the single most valuable thing a CEO can have, which is an accurate picture of your business while you still have time to act on it, because that is what this is really all about. Not being liked, not being nice. It's information. That's where I started this. And the CEO who can actually see clearly makes better decision than a CEO who is smarter but flying blind every single time. So in a market that moves this fast, the leaders with the clearest view, they're going to win. Not the loudest, not the most certain, the ones who can still see. I have watched this change work and happen in real life. A CEO who felt like everything was fine, calm, good numbers, and inside 90 days of doing this deliberately, discovering an entire new layer of problems and opportunities has been sitting right underneath them. Next 12 to 18 months, that specific client actually doubled their revenue because they truly empowered and gave not just responsibility, but authority to their team. And nothing about the business really changed, well, the outcomes, but what changed was that the CEO could finally see it and they finally understood what the problem was. And that is the true unlock. And once you see it, you cannot run your company the old way anymore. Okay, let me bring it back home. The information gap is not a character flaw. It's not about you. It is the tax you're paying for being in charge. You've been growing too fast, and or you've been too long in the company, and you have been paying it whether or not you knew that the bill existed. Your team did not go quietly because something is wrong with them. They went quiet because they're smart and because the system rewarded it and because no one ever showed them that chain had already come off. And you keep running on instruments that's quietly lied to you. Most leaders will, and they do today. They will then find out what was really going on 12 months from now, attached to a resignation or a number that they cannot explain. And they will ask why nobody told them. That is the default path. It is not dramatic, it is just slow and expensive, and it happens to good CEOs constantly. Or you can close the gap on purpose. Learn the 2-second reaction, learn the questions that get past the filter, learn how to handle the truth when it finally shows up. So your whole team learns it and it's safe. And the best part is you can teach your leaders the same thing, and they can teach their people and their people and their people. It is a skill, it is learnable, and it's probably the highest leverage skill you're not currently working on. Here is what I have to offer you. I run a small CEO group and business owners who work on exactly this, the real mechanics of leading, seeing clearly, and deciding well when the stakes are really high. It is called the CEO Mastermind, and it is deliberately kept very small because the value comes from the room being the right people. And I'm not going to pitch you hard on the webinar. This is not how it works. What I will do is I will offer you a conversation. If what I described to you today landed, if you recognize your own company in it, book a call with me. We will spend the time on your situation, your team, where the chain got set, and you will leave that call with something useful, whether or not we ever end up working together. I do these calls all the time. I'm an extrovert. I need to have conversations with people. That is my promise. So the link to book is on your screen, and it will also be in the follow-up email. I would love to take one. If I were you, I would love to have a conversation with you, and I would love to take one of the earlier time slots. My calendar is actually extremely full in the next 2 weeks, but there are time after that. I keep these calls limited for that purpose. If you run a company, the single most dangerous thing is not the problem you're wrestling with. It is the problem that your team stops telling you about. So let's go find it. If today landed for you, I'm leaving this QR code here right in front of you right now. It will be in the follow-up email. You can also go to the 5minuteleader.leadersadapt.com for a few moments, scan it, and you can see all the information right there. Thank you again for giving me your time. Have an amazing week, everyone. Thank you so much.